Happy Monday, A-Push people. Hopefully, day one of review month is going smoothly for you. I hope you tested yourself before you just logged into this video. Hey, Brandon has the answers. Let me log in. Copy of assignment as Brandon goes through here. I hope you actually tested yourself. And hey, maybe you'll learn something from it. So, I am going on in the corner, as we progress through this review quiz. It's a little bit longer than the next few review quizzes. This is the longest quiz you would have this week. Let's go. If my mouse will work properly, let's go in the corner. There we go. So, as you can see, this quiz covers AMSCO chapters 1 through 3. Let's go. The first question. In the 1500s, Native Americans possessed a wide range of complex cultures. Each of the following examples gives evidence to support this statement, except, notice the word except, the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan. B. The organization of Inca society. C. Native American susceptibility to European diseases. D. The Maya's agricultural system. Or E. The Maya calendar. So breaking down this statement, let's see. Which of the following statements does not support in the 1500s Native Americans possessed a wide range of complex cultures? If you guessed C, you are correct. If you didn't guess C, please change that now. Number 2. Which of the following best describes the way Europeans treated Native Americans in the 1500s and the 1600s? A. Native Americans were regarded as inferior people subject to Christian domination. B. Native American ways of life were respected. C. Since nothing of value could be learned or obtained from the Native Americans, Europeans thought it was permissible to exterminate them. D. Europeans cultivated good relations with Native Americans and sought to make them economic partners. Or E. Only the English believed that Native Americans should be treated fairly. I want to position this camera so you can see me, but I can also see the screen. So, let's think about this. So, which of these is a true statement, first of all, right? I can see you are narrowing your choices between A and C right now. So between A and C, which of the following best describes the way Europeans treated Native Americans? If you picked A, you are correct. Bingo. Number 3. Which of the following was the least important factor behind European exploration and settlement in the 16th century? A. Increase in scientific knowledge and technological change. B. Population income. C. Development of nation states. D. Competition for trade. Or E. Religious commitment. So which of the following was the least important factor of spreading and settlement and exploration in the 16th century? So notice the word least. It's not saying which was not an important factor of exploration and settlement. They are all important factors, but what is the least out of these 5 options? What is the least important factor? It's B, population increase, because it doesn't matter as much as all of the following options when you talk about spreading your ideas and cultures. Number 4, by the end of the 16th century, all of the following were generally true about Spain's colonial empire except A, it was controlled by a bureaucracy in Madrid. B, the Roman Catholic Church had great influence. C, new universities were spreading education and culture. D, families continued to immigrate from Spain. Or E, great wealth was being sent back to Spain. It was D. Which of these were not true about the colonial empire from Spain? There was a certain stop in immigration to the New World from Spain. Number 5, the delay in founding English settlements in the Americas was a result of A, weak English monarchs, B, the lack of English territorial claims in the Americas, C, failure to develop trade with other nations, D, fear of Spain, or E, religious upheavals in England. So, the delay in founding English settlement. It was religious upheavals in England. Number 6, at the beginning of the 17th century, all of the following factors served to increase the English role in America, except. So we are seeing a change in this time period from colonists coming to America. So which of these factors was not served as an increase? A, defeat of the Spanish Armada. B, population growth. C, royal leadership. D, development of joint stock companies. Or E, immigration for religious reasons. So why did the colonists come from England to the New World? They wanted to get out of the control of a royal leader. So it's C. Number 7. The survival of the Jamestown colony can be most directly attributed to the A, religious spirit of the settlers, B, management of the Virginia Company, C, development of a tobacco industry, D, location of the settlement, or E, nobles' diligent search for gold. What did I tell you when we were studying Jamestown almost a year ago? Associate Jamestown with the tobacco industry. So it's C. Alright, number 8. Which of the following sources would be most useful in studying the development of democratic institutions in the early colonial period? A. The Edict of Nantes. B. The first charter of the Virginia Company. C. Columbus's journals. D. The Treaty of Tordesillas. Or E. The Mayflower Compact. This is another question. AP likes to do this a lot. All of these can be useful for studying of the development of democratic institutions, but one of these options are the most useful. And the answer to that is E, the Mayflower Compact. Alright, number 9. Which of the following statements is the most widely accepted description of Columbus's accomplishments? A. He discovered a new world. B. He bears much of the blame for oppressing Native American peoples in North America. C. He started a permanent relationship between Europe and the Americans. D. He is responsible for most of the problems in the Americas during the colonial period. Or E. His heroic deeds will always be respected by fair-minded American citizens. So which of the following descriptions is a accepted one? And the answer is C. He started a relationship that became permanent between Europe and the Americans through the Columbian exchange, through the Columbus exchange, through all those relationships, and that started the founding principle of European colonization to the New World and ended in the Revolutionary War. Number 10. The issue of religion figured most prominently in the consideration of which of the following? A. The settlement of Jamestown. B. The establishment of Puritan colonies in Massachusetts. C. France's Indian policy. D. Discoveries by the Spanish conquistadors. Or E. Spain's support of Columbus's voyages. So the issue of religion most prominently resembled the fact in B. The establishment of Puritan colonies in Massachusetts. And we can see that because the Puritans was a major religious factor in the early American colony. We are continuing with number 11. The issue of religious toleration figured prominently in the founding of colonies by all of the following except A. James Allingham, B. Cecil Selver, C. Anne Hutchinson, D. William Penn, or E. Roger Williams. And the answer is James Allingham. He had a major voice in religious toleration in the early days of the colonies. Number 12. Which of the following accurately describes sorry about that technical difficulties. I don't know where we ended up, but number 12. Which of the following accurately describes a problem faced by Virginia in the last decades of the 17th century? A. A decline in tobacco production. B. Frequent slave uprising. C. The lowering of wages caused by an influx of immigrants. D. Political control by small farmers in the House of Burgess. Or E. Conflict between large plantation owners and settlers on Virginia's western front. The answer is E. E. Remember the Whiskey Rebellion and all that playing a factor in this conflict. Okay. Which of the following documents would be most useful in examining the origins of constitutional governments in colonial America? Notice those same word patterns would be most useful. A. The sermons of Puritan ministers. B. Newspaper commentary on the Halfway Covenant. C. The Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. D. Political tracts concerning the Dominion of New England. Or E. The Correspondence of Sir Edmond Andros. So, origins of constitutional government. What laid the origins of the Constitution when we think of colonial America? And the answer is C. The Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. We see a first draft of the laying principles to our Constitution in colonial America. Puritan intolerance of dissent led to the funding of a number of new colonies, the founding of which of the following does not support this statement? A. Providence. B. Portsmouth, Rhode Island. C. Hartford. D. New Hampshire. Or E. New Haven. Puritan intolerance of dissent led to the founding of a number of new colonies. Which of these colonies does not support this statement? And the answer is D. New Hampshire. It does not support this statement. Number 15. Roger Williams differed from other Puritan ministers in his emphasis on. Who is Roger Williams? Think about that. A. The study of the Bible. B. The value of consensus in church meetings. C. Nonviolence. D. The individual's private religious conscience. Or E. The supreme authority of church leaders. And the answer is the individual's private religious conscience. Because why did the colonists immigrate from Europe? To gain religious liberties, and Roger Williams was a main advocate of that consensus. Number 16. Which of the following was not a factor in the formation of the New England Confederation? A. The problem of defeating against Indian attacks. B. Conflicts over Indian colonial boundaries. C. Concern about runaway slaves. D. Neglect by the English government, or E, a desire to suppress religious dissent. Again, why did the colonists immigrate from Europe? To gain religious freedom. So the answer is E, a desire to suppress religious dissent was not a factor in that formation. Number 17. The chief purpose of mercantilist policies was to A. Help colonies to be self-sufficient. B. Strengthen the economy and power of the parent country. C. Defend the colonies from rival powers. D. Maintain tight control over the tobacco industry. Or E. Foster stable relations between the crown and the colonies. What was the chief purpose of mercantilism? Strengthen the economy and power of the parent country, because it all goes to the parent country. Number 18. The acts of trade and navigation had all of the following consequences in the colonies, except A. Colonial manufacturing was limited. B. Colonial economies were regulated from London. C. Low prices were charged for English imports. D. Smuggling became a common practice. Or E. New England shipbuilding prospered. So, the acts of trade and navigation had all of the following consequences, except C. Low prices were charged for English imports. This did not happen. This wasn't a consequence of these acts of trade and navigation. Number 19. William Penn's holy experiment included all of the following ideas, except A. Nonviolence. B. The Bible as religious authority for all. C. Fair treatment of Native Americans. D. A refuge for Quakers. Or E. Religious toleration. So which of the following was an idea? Which of the following was not an idea of William Penn's holy experiment? This goes back to religious liberties in the colonies and why we immigrated from Britain. The Bible as religious authority for all. Number 20. In the mid-18th century, all of the following were generally true about slavery in the British colonies, except, so what was not true about slavery in the colonies? A. Planters thought it provided a more dependable labor supply than other options. B. There were more slaves than indentured servants in the southern colonies. C. It was strongly opposed in New England. D. Slaves accounted for about half the plantation population of Virginia. Or E. Colonial laws gave slavery a permanent legal status. So which of the following was not true? It was strongly opposed in New England, sorry, I didn't mean to say North Korea. Number 21, last 10 questions, bear with me guys. The Great Awakening was a reaction to A. The flood of immigrants. B. Established churches in many of the colonies. C. Churches' earlier failure to take account of people's emotional needs. D. Guilt over the evils of slavery. Or E. The overly strict teaching of the Church of England. So what was a reaction? How was the Great Awakening? What was the Great Awakening a reaction to? The answer is C. Church's earlier failure to take account of people's emotional needs. That's why the Great Awakening started. So we can have a firm foundation of people's emotional needs that the earlier churches did not take action to. Number 22, preachers of the Great Awakening focused on the importance of A. The consequences of leading a sinful life. B. The sovereignty and power of God. C. Repenting of one's sins in order to be saved from eternal damnation. D. Looking to the Bible as the final source of authority. Or E. All of the above. So the Great Awakening encompasses all of these facts. This was true about the Great Awakening. Number 23, the Great Awakening had all of the following consequences except. So what out of all these options, what was not a consequence of the Great Awakening? A. Reduce competition among Protestant sects. B. Decline in the authority of Protestant ministers. C. A belief that common people could make their own decisions. D. Increase emotionalism in church services. Or E. A feeling of shared experience among colonists in different religions and of different national origins. So after the Great Awakening, what was not a consequence? And the answer is A, because there was still competition between Protestant sects in the early colonial periods. Number 24, which of the following is true of immigration to the colonies during the first half of the 18th century? A. Most immigrants settled in New England. B. Most immigrants came from continental Europe. C. A sizable minority of immigrants had no freedom of choice in coming to the colonies. D. The English government tried to discourage immigration. Or E. Most immigrants worked for low wages in cities along the eastern seaboard. And the answer to this question is, of course, most immigrants came from Europe because that was a huge push during the first half of the 18th century, escaping religious persecution in Europe. Number 25. In the 18th century, all of the following were generally true about colonial society in America except A. The English language and English traditions were dominant. B. There were few poor people and no real aristocrats. C. Voters played an active role in government. D. It was impossible for individuals to better themselves economically and socially. E. A degree of religious toleration could be found in each colony. So let's think about this. They all moved from Europe to America in, let's say, one drive, one push from Europe to America, and they're in a new world together, all on the same boat. So it was impossible for individuals to move up in society or economic standards. Number 26. At his trial, John Peter Zenger won acquittal on the grounds that A. The king had less authority in the colonies than in England. English law permitted the press almost total freedom. C. Libel laws did not apply to government officials. D. New York's governor deserved to be criticized. Or E. Truth could not be libel. Truth could not be libel in this case. Number 17. Number 27, I mean. Which of the following did the colonies lack? A. An adequate monetary system. B. Good harbors and rivers for transportation. The ability to import goods from England. D. An adequate supply of slave labor. Or E. Sufficient markets for colonial timber and naval stores. This goes back to they're all on the same boat and they really don't know what they're doing. So the answer is, in fact, A. They had no monetary system back in the colonial period. Number 28. Which of the following statements accurately describes the government in all 13 colonies in the mid-18th century? A. The governor was appointed by the king. Members of the governor's council were elected. C. The government assisted an established church. D. One house of the legislature was elected by eligible voters. Or E. The governor had nearly dictatorial power. So, which of the following accurately describes the governments in all 13 colonies? And the answer to that is D. Number 29. Benjamin Franklin was the epitome of the multilateral colonial Americans. Each of the following could be used to support this statement, but except A. Experiments with electricity, Poor Richard's Almanac, military leadership, invention of bifocal lenses, or E. Founding a non-sectarian college. He didn't have military leadership. Number 13. Which of the following best represents the quote-unquote new man described by Crèvecoeur? A. An indentured servant recently arrived from France. B. A native-born Pennsylvania merchant. C. An adult slave on a South Carolina plantation. A German-speaking farmer on the frontier. Or E. A royal governor of Virginia. So, which represents a new man coming to the colonies for a new life? A German-speaking farmer. So, that's it for review lesson 1. I'm sorry it dragged on quite a bit. We are on here for 35 minutes so far. But thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow with a review lesson 2.